So beyond the definition, what does that mean to you? Because a lot of times this blob of paragraphs that comes through, it's like, okay, these are just borrowed from all these textbooks. It feels like you didn't sit down and really consider it. You're graduating with your master's degree. That's really important. And you're going out into the world. So how are you a critical thinker about problems, this problem that is posed? So I would just say, like, slow down. Try to slow down, try to breathe. I know it's a stressful exercise, but that's my major suggestion is fact, commentary. So that throughout you're making sure, yes, I'm touching on what they're asking me to do in terms of definitions or stats or quotes from different authors, but here's what I think about that. 2 comments, right? So you break it up that way. That's something that I find useful in terms of the writing process.
Anyone else? While you guys are getting your thoughts, I'll just jump in and say just a few things. Like Dr. Lara said, you know, essentially the methods portion, 501, right? You know, at a minimum. But if you know, you've taken, you know, others of us, and you know that we're, you know, other classes are also pretty heavy on the research methods as well. You know, all my classes culminate in that type of project as well. So she's right, borrow from all your skill set, you know, all the stuff that you've done well at, you know, in your coursework. That's all fair game, you know, to rehash. And, you know, when you read that question, you'll think about, oh, okay, I remember this class, you know, I had that material, I had similar material, I had these readings, you know, I summarized this for a grade at one point. You know, that's the stuff you want to kind of, you know, little shortcuts for getting your stuff drafted and organized. And just another technical point. So anyone who's asked me, you know, after I put out announcements, you know, on the listserv or on the Canvas page, which has all enrolled graduate students, anyone who's asked me to put them on the comp exam page in Canvas, you're there now. So on October 4th, I can't have you on, I can only have test takers, you know, on there. So for the exam, because that's the same, you know, place we use to administer. So I'll kick, you know, everybody, I'll remove everybody just, you know, for a couple weeks while we get, you know, while we administer the exam, and then I'll, you know, keep a record of who's on, and I'll put you guys back on. So anyone, you know, pretty much for the month of October, the first part of October, you know, don't expect to be able to see anything on Canvas. You know, do some other type of preparation or print stuff ahead of time or whatever. So, Doctors Natividad, Keys, do you guys have any? These are all experienced graders and administrators of the exam. So, any advice that we haven't hit on? Thank you. You guys, we're the theory section usually. Well, not me anymore, but these guys.
Well, I don't know. I remember an exam that told me that they're, in answering the question that was posed, that there was no significant history of prison violence in New Mexico. And I don't have to tell you what happened in that exam. So my sense is, when you read these things back to yourself, take the time to you know, listen to what you're saying sometimes, and sometimes things can slip past you and they can be, you know, huge. And you know, and just, even though you've done good work on the rest of it, you know, it just really screws it all up. So, you know, be careful with them. Take some care in laying out your essays, because you know, graders, you know, are subjective by nature, and you know, I think it's probably best just to think it through really good and make sure you're saying what you want to say. That's all.
These are just general tips, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, first and foremost, transition sentences. Make sure all your thoughts connect to each other at the end or at the beginning of the paragraph. Transition sentences. This theory now that we looked at this theory, we're going to look at this other theory in relation to the whatever the problem is, so that we can better understand X, Y, and Z. Then you go into explain the next theory. Make sure your entire your paper connects to each other, all the ideas. So make sure that it connects. Outline. If you want to provide an outline, first I'm going to talk about this, then that'll help you. It'll also help the reader as well. You can repeat that outline in the end and kind of summarize your points. Again, bringing it all together and then hammering away at your main argument, or your main points, in other words. But that way it flows well and it connects. You have transition sentences. Make sure to have transition sentences. Again, you just don't want to say this theory and explain it, and then this theory explain it. I'm like, what do those two have to do with each other? And going back to what Dr. Lara said, so what? Right? That's where the connecting comes in. That makes it more powerful of paper. That's it.
Okay, so just one thing on this, on the handout that's up on the overhead. I just added these 2 items yesterday, last night, and these are, we already have past successful answers. I'm sure everyone's seen those. Now I have past fail samples, so you can look at what not to do, right? And I have one that was a borderline fail, so you can just gauge quality, and the grading rubrics are there. They're included. You know, like you know why these were scored the way they were scored, and what the substantive comments were. So look at that stuff as well. And that'll be there again for about the next week and a half, and then take a break, and they'll be back up in mid to late October when we're done administering the exam. In terms of turnaround, grading, that is, don't hold your breath. It's you know, the fall's a busy semester, as you know, and it's just as busy for all of us, so be patient with results, and they will come. And I'll be the one to notify you about that.
And a word of advice, don't worry about it once you submit it, because worrying won't change the answer. It is what it is. I can remember taking the comprehensives for PhD, and I completely forgot. When I finally got the outcome, I didn't know what I was opening. I was opening an envelope, and then I stopped and went, oh, hold on, this is important. Like I said, worrying about something after it's done isn't going to fix it.
Along those lines, don't obsess on the past sample questions. I mean, skim them, sort of look at the overall quality, but it's really, you know, not replicable, and so just, people can kind of churn each other's anxieties up, and I think they're there for good reasons, but don't trip on old samples.
Yeah, and since I put them up so quickly, they're a little awkwardly. I mean, you know, they're all separate files. Like I have what the responses are, but then you have to scroll down a little bit to see what the test questions were. It was just hard to combine all this stuff. We have a lot of different files to juggle, so sorry for that, but that's the way they appear on the Canvas page. So, questions? I know that's a lot to take in, and it probably builds a lot of anxiety, but trust me, take that sound advice of Dr. Lara's is like, you can't freak out about it. You know, you just have to prepare adequately, calm down, and do what you know you can do. You know, what you've done successfully in past classes and earned, you know, good grades for. That's all we're asking you to do. You know, it's just crunch it into a weekend, you know, which, you know, it is what it is.
And just some life skills, like take a walk, eat your favorite meal, go see a movie. Like, don't think that you have to be doing this for 50 hours. I mean it. Like, take 2 hours off. Go swimming. Go whatever you like to do. I don't know what you guys do your hobby for a couple hours. Seriously, like it doesn't exist for 2-3 hours. Go do
Your
something
hobby's
fun.
going to the bar drinking. Don't do that. Different hobbies that week.
I was going to tell them to obsess and stay glued to the
Fine, choose whichever one you want.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle.
Healthy behavior.
So, yes, sir.
Just as part of the grading process, are the papers randomly assigned to the different professors?
No, we've we've got a team of 3 graders, you know, to have an odd number in case someone
We
has
all
to
grade
break the
all of
tie.
them. So each
No
one
names
grades
are
them
on.
independently, then we get together, compare our results. And any disagreements, we discuss those as a group. But before we even look at that, we've all graded them independently. And so each one of yours will be graded by each one of the 3 faculty. So,
Anonymous.
No names, no
Yeah,
battery
totally
numbers.
anonymously, right? I anonymize this stuff. That's my role before I send them out. But those are good points. It's definitely a good question about how it works. Yeah, we try to be we are as fair as humanly possible.
And then when we write our paper, do you want us to write it like how we would turn it in with a like cover page, APA style, and then you're gonna clean it, and then
Yeah, that helps. You know, sure to have all those components. Yeah, just like any other term paper or you know, research paper.
yeah, don't put a header with your name on each page because that's a pain.
That's hard.
You know, cover sheet, that's fine. He can take that off before he sends it to us. But yeah, you don't want your name anywhere in it other than the top page.
And be sure not to save as a PDF because then it's
you
hard.
You can't change any of those things.
Yeah, it'll make graders grumpy. You know.
We're grumpy by nature.
or you can be happy all this is ways. No.
And realize, I mean, in all honesty, we want you to be successful. I mean, when I'm looking at these, it's more, you've got to talk yourself out of PASA. It's not one of those things where you're talking yourself into it, because, I mean, we want you to be successful, but if you just throw something at us that's trash, I mean, you talk yourself out of PASA. We're not out to get anybody. This isn't our way to get even, to settle scores or any of those types of things. We want you to be successful, but you've got to prove that you are successful.
I'd say in the past 3 years that I've been here, the passage rate is up close to 80%. So they're good odds. Sometimes that the mean gets pulled down because you have like 3 people taking it, and then if one fails, then it goes down to like 65%, but all in all, it's a pretty decent passage rate. So. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks to the GSO for pulling this together. I think we're going to have a little impromptu meeting, right, for charter to ratify the charter, whatever that means. And I'm sure, I hope Wade knows.
Yeah.
And Wade's the president, and so we'll congratulate them for winning these elections that were held recently. Next to him, Daniel Topete is the treasurer. And we have Erica Arispe is the VP, and behind the camera is Isamar Silvestre as the secretary. Thank you, Isamar, for filming these sessions, and I think the people out there, all the graduate students online not able to make it, are very grateful for you being able to do that for us. So thanks, everyone, and good luck. See you, Flo.